Welcome to the Worry Free Podcast by Event Resources. I'm Lee Simmons. One of the most impactful things, yet sometimes underappreciated or even sometimes forgotten about at your event is lighting. How can lighting affect the vibe at your event, and why is it very important in certain situations? To answer these questions and more is Event Resources' Chris Gallagher. Chris, usually the first conversation we have with clients about their event is immediately audio and video, and lighting is sometimes an afterthought. Why is that?
Yeah, most of the time audio and video are pretty necessary. You work on a PowerPoint for a while, you have presenters who are working on speeches for a while, so those elements are very important to make sure your message gets heard, like we mentioned on previous podcasts. Also, you may go on site visits and see the room has house lighting and it looks bright enough, so you might think, well, what's the point? Do I really need to add a stage lighting system?
And so why do we disagree with that statement? Why do we think, hey, this is kind of necessary?
Yeah, it's all about the guest experience. If you have presenters who are on stage and they look like they're in the dark, it's going to give your guests a bad time. They can't see them and your message isn't getting across. For example, we're sitting in a studio, we're nicely lit, but if we take those away, you can't really see us at all. In person, we look fine because our eyes adjust naturally, but on camera,
yeah, we're in the dark.
We're not looking so good.
Can't see us at all.
Yeah. So stage lighting, it's really necessary to make sure your guests are seen and not left in the dark.
All right, so let our guests see us again.
Yeah.
What other things can stage lighting do to help elements on stage?
For sure. Stage lighting, they help give a focus point to the stage. So again, in the situation, if you have the house lights off, it helps give your guest a place to look, make sure that they're seeing the presenter, hearing the message, all of that. Also, we have certain stage elements on the stage, such as set design. Maybe you have a poster or a pop-up banner of your sponsors, your logo. Stage lighting just helps bring those elements out and really make sure they get seen. Also, photographers really like lighting as well. So that goes along with all cameras. If you're recording, live streaming, have iMag, it's even more of a necessity because cameras, as you saw, they don't see light like the human eyes do. They need stage lighting in order to function properly. There are some situations where stage lighting is not necessarily needed. If the room's very, very bright and you don't have iMag, you don't have elements that require stage lighting, then you can get away with it. I think about the society room. They have a lot of big windows that let in natural light, so you could get away without doing stage lighting there.
During the day.
During the day.
Because the sun. But at night, different story?
Day and night is a wildly different story. At nighttime, we always almost recommend having some type of stage lighting system just to make sure that your message is heard and your guests have a good time.
Now, there are different types of stage lighting, and we obviously don't want to get too technical here, but can you just explain a static light versus moving lights?
Yeah, so a static light, they can be set up as set and forget. I think of gobos, which we'll touch on a little later. Those same lights, they can be set up to dim, or maybe they change color, but generally once they're pointed at the stage, they don't move. So they're very common. I'm sure people have seen them at local theaters, churches, things like that, and they're great if you just need a basic stage lighting system to really help fill out your guests on stage.
And in that situation, as from like our side of things, we set it up and we leave, and it's just a matter of turning the lights on and off.
Yeah. Sometimes we will have a console that you just bring up and down.
Sure.
But again, even that gives you a little bit of adjustment and wiggle room to get the look that you really like. Moving lights, on the other hand, obviously they move. So you can point them in certain directions from a board, and you can create cues, which will just help give you a good show flow, and they help bring the energy. Think about like an award show. We have our walk-up music playing, the energy's there, and you have the lights moving all around. That's a great application for them. However, if you have some talking heads on stage, that show is really more about the message being heard and the presenters speaking, then a static system would be fine.
And movers, the moving lights, very nice to have, like you said, bring different vibe, different energy. But one challenge with that, it could be financially, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, the movers, they do cost more, and typically they require having a lighting tech on site. So that's a bit of a checks and balances that you have to do on your end. However, movers really bring the energy and can help take your event to the next level.
Let's talk about some uplights, for example. What are these good for? How can we use these in different applications?
Yeah, uplights are a great cost-effective way to help transform your room. They can be around the walls. I think about the Marriott with the columns that they have in there. We like to put uplights inside there, and it just really helps transform the room. They also have a lot of colors that you can choose from, specifically 16,777,216.
Not to get exact or anything.
Not to get exact. But with that, there's multiple options to help really bring out your brand's colors, your event's colors, things of that nature. They also can enhance the look of decor and set design elements on stage as well. I think of like the white velour that we use, putting some uplights on that can really help take that to the next level. We also have some set design elements like the rib cage, floating cards, even the beaded drape. Those really only work with uplighting. So if you're adding those elements, that is something to consider.
It's kind of like a package deal if you want that set design, the beaded drape, the wave wall, whatever it might be. I mean, those usually are white or a basic color, which you lose the effect of the set design when it doesn't have color. I mean, look at good examples back here with the blue and the purple, pink color. Otherwise, it should be a straight white wall.
Yeah, I think that is the big thing with uplights. It helps bring definition. It helps just enhance elements that you have on stage. Even like a pop-up banner, if we put an uplight on that as well, again, pulls focus and it enhances your branding there.
We've uplit like cars, and the nice thing, because I mean, they're not all have to be plugged in, so you can put them in different places, right?
Yeah, like you said, if we have some battery uplights, great to enhance just about anything, especially if we also have some like tiny uplights as well. So if you wanted to uplight some of the plants or anything, we've also uplit artwork as well. So a lot of different options for you to choose from.
Right, so whether we're talking about uplights or the stage lighting that you mentioned, how do you know how many lights are needed?
Yeah, for audio and video, those are easier packages, I would say, to kind of include. Like you have your line array, and then maybe you have some outfills. With video, you have like your screens and projectors. Lighting, it's all dependent on how many things there are to light. I think like a good way to break it up is acting areas. I come from a theater background, so that's helpful for me. But think about, okay, I have my lectern here, I have a table over here with awards I want to light, and then maybe I have a fireside chat with 2 chairs. So those right there, in my mind, are 4 separate positions to light onto the stage.
And I have to imagine every venue and every situation's a little different. I mean, yeah, if we could wave our magic wand, we would do the exact 3-point lighting for every time. We would do the rigging in the air because that's going to give you the best option. But obviously, whether it's budgetary or physical space availability, that's going to play a factor in those scenarios, right? Because, too, I have to imagine that if you don't have enough lights, it's going to be kind of like a letdown, where you kind of started this where once you hear well, you heard well. It's not really make it better to hear. Once the visuals are up, they're seen. There's not more you can do to see it. But you can always add more lighting to make it look better visually, right?
Absolutely. Again, going back to cameras, that's a huge factor for determining quantity of lights.
And talking about uplights too and quantities, same idea. If you picture a room and you put 5 uplights around a room, or you put 50 uplights around the room, you're getting a different vibe and a different look.
Yeah.
And one might be a letdown and one might be amazing, but it's not a even or. There's room in between.
Touching on what you said, if you have like 1 uplight on a wall in the Marriott and that's it, might not be a good read for the guests there. But if you had, say, 3 or 5, it's going to fill it out a little bit more and look better for your guests.
And that's something where you as a tech, for example, when you're on site, that's what you're visualizing, and you're going to go around and make that determination. What is the best experience for the guests and how many lights am I putting where? That's not always something that's done and discussed with the client. Hey, we're going to put 2 lights here and 2 lights here. I don't think they care in a sense. I mean, I know they care, but I just mean like they want to make sure it looks good. They're going to trust you or our team to make sure it's the right quantity for that guest experience. And sometimes you trial and error and see it, right?
We provide that service of being able to help guide you on that journey and be able to help really bring out the event and fulfill it to your imagination.
You mentioned earlier about gobos.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm sure people have seen a gobo. They might not know what it is, but I'm sure they've seen it. What is a gobo? Where have people may have seen it? And why is it something that could be very impactful to be used at their event?
Sure. Gobos they're just stainless steel circles, and they have a stencil cut out onto it, whether it be your event logo, your brand's logo, sponsor logos, and you put those inside of a fixture and they shine that image onto a wall. You see them at some of our events. Typically, we again, do the client logo, branding, sponsors, all that. Another good spot is the lobby in the downtown Marriott. They often have a gobo set up. Yeah, they're a great way to do some branding and get your message out there as well.
I mean, people probably see weddings, not that we work many weddings, but the name of the bride and groom on the wall. We've seen them like at restaurants on like the ground, pointing on the ground, and you're like walking over it. So again, I'm sure people have seen it in their everyday life and didn't even know what it was or that it exists. But it's a very inexpensive way to be utilized for the things you said, especially sponsorships, right? I mean, can you touch a little more about how sponsorships and why a client might want to use that and how that could help them?
Yeah, for sure. Again, it's just recognizing the fact that this company, this organization decided to sponsor your event. So just kind of giving them a good shout out and saying, you're showing them as well. It's, again, like you said, a very cost-effective way to show that cooperation.
And can you just quickly touch on, there's gobos, the stainless steel that you explained that usually it's one color, or we could put any color on it, essentially. And then there's some that are color gobos, fully colored with all the different colors. Can you just touch on the difference and why, especially budget-wise, why one versus the other might be used?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, with the stainless steel ones, they typically are just like the no-color light. But as you said, we could add like a gel, or if it's an LED light, we could change the color on it. And those are fantastic. Those give you a lot of variables. The multicolored ones that you're talking about, they're typically made out of glass, so those are quite a bit expensive. But they're glass, they're high quality, they're very nice, and they're colored. So those are really good to give you like a multicolored. There's been a couple where we have like some lettering in orange, and then the background is yellow. So those are a great way to kind of just enhance that as well. But again, they're very pricey.
All right, Chris. Well, thank you for this discussion, and thank you for tuning in to the Worry Free Podcast. We hope that when you have your next event, lighting isn't just an afterthought, that we can bring that light discussion in the light, see how I just played that there, into discussion to make sure that your guest experience can be seen properly. Thank you again for watching the Worry Free Podcast by Event Resources.